Welcome to the Life Be podcast. In every episode, we dive into the most relatable aspects of life, helping you navigate the complexities of our contemporary world. Let's get started.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night all over the world. We're back with a new season of Life Be podcast, and we're so excited to see a new year. It's been a while since we were last on your channels, on your TVs, wherever you're watching us. Please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. And let's get the word around. You can support us monetary-wise by giving, whatever you can do to make this keep going. Please support us, and we'd be happy to keep doing this. Today, I have a wonderful guest, a brother, a friend, a minister, an artist, an entertainer, a fashionista, everything. This guy is a lot of things. He's very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to introduce my brother, my friend, Exodus.
Yes, my brother.
You're very welcome to the Life Be podcast, and I am excited that you're my first guest in season 2 this year.
Isn't that a big blessing?
It is. It's special to me.
And I'm so happy. Really, really happy. We've wanted to do this for a long time.
I know.
But time has always...
You people are hard to catch, but I'm happy that you're finally here.
Glory to God.
How has the year started off for you?
Very good. I always start mine off in prayer and fasting.
Okay.
I always dedicate the first month, 40 days, and another 9 or 10 days into Feb.
Okay.
Just dedicating my plans, dedicating my year, dedicating my creativity, dedicating just everything to God, because, without Him, we struggle.
That's very true. It's always great to honor God with your gifts, with your talents, with everything you have, and to start off the year that way is something wonderful that we never think about.
It gives direction, remember.
That's very true.
Yep.
So I don't know what name to call you. When I first met you, very many years ago, you went by 2 names. I'll tell you which ones. I'd say Timothy, and I'd say, Timothy? Oh, you mean George? And I'm like, wait.
Which
George,
is which? Or Timothy?
So I stuck to George because many people knew George than Timothy.
Yeah.
Where does it come from that? Why do people still call you Timothy?
Yeah,
or
they
it's
do.
Just us, the old people?
No. They do. Actually, I think it's me when I'm introducing myself to people that I've become acquainted with.
Yeah.
I don't want them to call me Exodus because I love personal, intimate relationships. So my name is George Lubega Timothy. So I put it out there.
All the 3 names.
Yeah, for you to choose
Which
whatever
one?
you would love to,
Yeah.
So a lot of people love to call me Timothy, Timo.
It's weird.
I know.
Trust me, if somebody called you Timothy, I'd be shocked, and I'd first look around to see who they are.
Now,
Yeah.
anybody calls me Exodus, I might not give them an ear. But if somebody says George or Timothy, immediately
you know that's a close person.
They do know me. They do know me. Yeah.
So tell us who's George Timothy Lubega before we get to Exodus.
Yeah. George Timothy Lubega is a humble young boy raised by a single mother.
Are you sure you're humble?
Very.
Really?
I think I'm... I don't like BS though, but I'm the humblest artist you'll ever meet.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Very humble, very emotional, very loving.
I agree with very emotional.
Very social, very comical. Yeah. Very emotional.
Yeah.
I'm learning to tame that because sometimes it gets in the way of work and ministry and all that. Yeah. So George is a humble boy raised by a single mom. Who caught HIV when I was about 8 years. And unfortunately, by the time I was about 10 years, she was gone to be with the Lord. May her soul rest in peace. Or Ola Dorin. That's my mom's name. And then when my mom passed, I was, taken to live with my father. I met my father for the first time after like 10 years.
You're about how old by
I
then?
was 10.
10. Okay.
I was 10, yeah. So went and met my dad, who I was with for about 2 years. My dad was raised Islam.
Okay.
So he had a couple of, he had a number of wives.
Yeah.
I was with my dad for about 2 years because it was not easy at home. You live with this mom for a period of time, and then you mistreatment, and then you're sent to live with another.
Yeah.
He had his own share of
Challenges.
a lot of challenges growing up. Unfortunately, Bambi, for him, they did not shape him for the better.
Yeah.
So even when he grew up, he didn't know how to raise a child. He didn't know how to. He was a very loving man because in his evening, God gave me the opportunity, to bring him in and have an intimate relationship in his later life. And I learned a lot that I did not know about him, that I was angry about growing as a young man,
Of course, because
Yeah,
you had
my
a
dad
lot of
abandoned me,
questions
and
that nobody
you
would
understand.
answer. Yeah.
It is until I had a deep conversation with him and I understood the man he was, May God rest his soul in peace. Mr. Sulaiman Matovo, he passed away about 7 years ago. And by the time he went to be with the Lord, he actually called me father. And
Wow.
I really, 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 really thank God for that, because the man I hated with my whole life, in the evening of his life, became my best friend.
Yeah.
Like my best friend. Unfortunately, I was with him for about 1.5 years, and God took him away. God took him to paradise.
We thank God that at least you had the 1.5 years with him.
Yeah.
Because all your life,
The most
he was
beautiful,
on the outside of your life.
yes,
all
the
your
most
life.
beautiful 1.5 years I ever had.
Okay.
Compensated for all the time he was never in my life.
Wow. It's
And
beautiful.
it took away the pain and anger that I had, kept inside for so many years, thinking he just didn't care, just irresponsible father, until I got to understand his side of the story.
Yeah.
No wonder they say never judge a book by the cover.
I know. It's very interesting that as a child, when you have very many unanswered questions, actually, not just as a child, there's a wise man I listened to, he's called Tim Ross. He said that the human mind is made to fill in the blanks. We like to fill in the blanks.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have the full information,
exactly,
you tell yourself something so that you can be okay with whatever the outcome is. You can say this person didn't care because of A, B, C, and D. And because they didn't show you why they didn't care, you give yourself an answer. And it's very understandable. That's how humans, that's how humans are.
We're very inquisitive beings.
Exactly. We want to know the detail. If we don't have the detail,
let me tell you a funny story about what you just said.
Yes.
When my mom passed, I never had an opportunity for my mom to tell me when exact I was born.
Yeah.
So I meet my father, and life wasn't so easy when I left. Eventually, when we
met again.
Yeah. So I asked him when I was actually born, so that I can put right what I had created for myself, because
you gave yourself a
I gave myself a birth date. and you know how it happened?
Yeah.
Mr. Isaac Ruchi.
Yeah.
Limidex.
Yeah.
He's the guy who first put me on a plane.
Yeah.
And I think that was, I think we were on that concert together in Nairobi for Kirk Franklin.
Yes.
So I was underage. I had to get a passport. And I had to be above 18.
Yeah.
So I had to create my own birthday.
So that you can get a passport.
You understand?
You have to be eligible.
I filled in the blank.
Yeah.
So that's the human mind. Always trying to fill blanks. Very inquisitive.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So we're talking about your dad and your mom. Your mom was called Ola.
Or Ola Dorin.
What does
Or
Ola
Ola
mean?
or Lamwaka.
What does that mean?
Huh. That will be a story of another day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what part of the country is she from?
She's from northern Uganda.
Okay. So that's
Gulu.
how you're able to speak the languages
Gulu.
from that region.
Yeah, Gulu in particular. She comes from a
beautiful.
village called Onyama.
I've been to Onyama.
Yeah.
So earlier on we were talking in the room with
Yeah.
the guys here, the team, and they were asking, you spoke Luganda and somebody said, Exodus amanyo Luganda. They were shocked that you know Luganda, and I said, Exodus Muganda, and you said, I said, Exodus 50% Muganda, and you said, no, you're not 50%.
Yeah.
All my life knowing you, I've known you to be 50% Muganda.
Yeah.
Because you speak Luganda and your last name
Is Lubega.
is Lubega, who is a Muganda. So a few minutes ago, I found out that the percentage of which you are a Muganda is actually very little.
Minimal.
You're mixed up in many things. Just tell us about where you really come from and how you get to Lubega.
Let's just say I'm a Ugandan.
No.
But the nitty-gritties.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So, my grandfather,
Yes.
that's my dad's father, is fully Italian from Sicily.
Okay.
He's one of those that came in the early 18s, I think. If not, in the early 18s.
Yeah.
He worked as one of the managers for Starling. They were
Okay.
brought here to work on roads and blah blah blah.
So Starling is the road construction company.
Exactly.
Yes.
So he was part of the team that was brought here, and then he fell in love with a Muganda girl, very beautiful, who happens to be my dad's mom.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's how I become a Muganda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my grandfather is fully Italian.
Okay.
My
Your
grandmother from my dad's side is a Muganda.
Okay.
And then my mom, so my dad decides not to choose from his tribe and goes up north Uganda, finds a beautiful dark-skinned girl. That's my mom,
Okay.
Ola Dorin. So I don't know what you would call that. My mom is a Choli. My dad
You're
is
Ugandan.
I'm a Ugandan. I'm a world citizen.
A multilingual Ugandan.
I'm a world citizen.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So where exactly did you grow up?
We grew up in Kisenyi.
Okay.
In Kisenyi, when I came of age and started understanding.
How did you get to Kisenyi?
I don't
That's
know.
where they lived. So
No.
so you're saying when you started understanding, you were in Kisenyi.
They were separate. They had
Okay.
separated. They were separate. So
Okay. So life for you started in Kisenyi.
in Kisenyi
Okay.
with my mom. We lived in a wooden small house.
Yes.
She was a very, very principled woman. The Acholi culture believes so much in education,
Yes.
and they would do
They're
anything.
some of the brightest people in this country.
Exactly. And they would do anything to have their kids be in school at all costs.
Yes.
So she used to do every kind of job so that her kids would stay in school.
Wow.
Unfortunately, when I was about 8 years is when she caught HIV.
Okay.
And AIDS of those times was really, really bad. And people, I think it in those early days, some people didn't even know what the sickness was.
They used to say it's witchcraft.
Exactly.
You were bewitched,
Those things.
Yeah.
So, at 8, she caught HIV. And by the time I was 10, she had gone. And that's when I was taken to meet and live with my dad. So I left Kisenyi and I was taken to Banda, Nabisunsa in particular. That's where my dad was,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's I can feel the emotion of that. When you're a little child, you don't understand what's going.
Exactly.
You don't understand what's going on. You're moving, your mom is sick, dead. Then you move to a father that you didn't quite have a relationship with. You didn't really know.
Exactly.
And for a little mind, that was about 8, 9?
No. When I was my mom passed when I was 10.
Oh, 10.
So that's when I was taken to live with my dad.
So you're starting to grow and understand things, and you're with this gentleman that wasn't part of your life, and that's your father. So how do you then leave your dad's house?
Okay. So my dad was a very, very loving man.
Yeah.
He just didn't know how to place the love. You understand?
Yes.
So I was taken to live with him. The first place I went, then I got to realize every other week, every other month that there was another mother somewhere.
Okay.
There was
Yes.
another mother somewhere. There was another mother somewhere. But our African culture, if a child is not your birth child,
Yes.
most times the treatment is
It's not good.
devastating.
Yes.
Let me term it like that. So the first 2 weeks were, it was paradise. Just met my dad and this new woman, just met another son.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks down the road, it was really good, very loving, very caring. And then I started to notice traits. My dad would come home mostly in the mornings.
Okay.
Yeah, he he used to take a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And every other day my dad came back, and I don't know what they would tell him. After 2 weeks, situation started flipping. You're home, you're woken up, and you started being beat out of the blue.
You don't know
You
why.
don't even know why.
Yeah.
You understand? So life started to change for the worse. Eventually became worst. Long story short, I was in my father's homes, with different women for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time I woke up at about 5:30 to prepare myself to go to school. And he had just come back. I don't know what he was told. My dad beat me so bad. He beat me for like 1.5 hours.
Wow.
We had a glass lamp in the house, itara yo mukono.
Yes.
Those
A
things.
lantern.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
He got it and smashed it across my face.
Wow.
Glass cut me everywhere. I was wearing a white shirt. One side, it turned red, blood dripping everywhere. After beating me like that, I think when he saw blood, he felt a certain type of way.
Yeah.
So he just went and slept and blacked out. In that moment, I went to his bedroom while he was asleep with a knife in my hand. Yes.
Wow.
In my mind, I was like, let me just stab this guy dead and run off. I do not know what stopped me because I was so determined. I don't know what stopped me. I dropped the knife, but at that moment, my spirit was telling me, if you don't leave,
Things are gonna get worse.
you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're gonna die for sure. Because even at one time, my stepmama told me, your father does not even care about you. I can beat you and kill you, and your father would say nothing. So all those words kept coming back. I dropped the knife. I got a few clothes in a kavera, a black kavera. And I just ran off. But actually, I remember before even all that, when I dropped the knife, I wanted to stab him because he was dead asleep, snoring. I wanted to stab him and run off. But when I dropped the knife, a voice inside me said, you see, when your father doesn't care about you, you at least you can take your own life. At that moment, we had a small radio in the house. It had batteries in it. You remember those ever-readies?
Yes.
You know, there were 4. I got them out of that radio. I smashed them, put everything in a bowl, and added water and drank it.
Wow.
And nothing happened.
That's good.
Not even a stomach ache.
That's
So,
good. For you to take dry cells
I know.
and nothing happens to you.
He's sleeping. So I went back to his bedroom. I got his watch, his wristwatch.
Yeah.
I pulled the little batteries out of the watch and swallowed them as well.
So to make sure you really die.
Because I didn't know where to go. My mom is gone.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm with my father, but it looks like you're in the air. You have no food. There's no love. And as a child, so many things were running in my mind. You're very young. You don't even know what to do. So in my mind, the quickest thought was, you take your own life. You have nowhere to go. I tried all that. I failed.
Then you hit
This time it's about 6 something. I got a few shots, put them in a black Cavera, and took off and went back to Kisenyi. Now going back to Kisenyi, we didn't have a home now because my mom is dead. Everything is gone. That's how I ended up in Kisenyi, but on the streets. You know, like Owino, that place, Channel Street and all that. So I started typically different and hard life as a street kid. And I think I lived on the streets for about 6 years because I left the streets about 2000. I left the streets 2001. Yeah.
Wow. I know about this story, but I'd never had the whole story
I know.
in context.
I know.
Because for me, and probably most people, your story starts at the streets.
Yeah.
It actually starts you leaving
the streets, yes.
We don't have the perspective of how you got to the streets and what you went through.
And the reason for leaving the street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the whole story starts on the street, you leaving the
street and going to church.
Yeah. So before you go to church, what was life like on the street? I want to know what was that first night on the street like?
My very first night on the street, I remember at about 3.
Yeah.
We're sleeping. Because when I arrived, I met with 5 other boys, young as I was. They were also, in the same age bracket.
Yeah.
One had come from Karamoja, 2 had come from Masaka, and then 2 had come from the east.
Okay.
We were young. So I don't know what drew me to them, and we just,
became friends.
Yeah.
That was your new family.
Yeah. And then that very evening, they went away, and they came back at about midnight. So one asked me if I'd eaten. I hadn't eaten. So it was like, it's okay. Let us go to Mama Naka. Muruja, or Mowino Muruja. Let's go to Mama Naka. And
Mama Naka is the ladies that cook food
one of the ladies that cook, she did particularly tea, cassava, and eggs.
Okay.
Yeah. So he took me to Mama and buns, So he took me to Mama Naka's place, and I remember he bought me a meal. Like muogo mtereko vakedo n'amagi umwene chai umwene omugati, It bought those things about 2,000 shillings. It was a whole meal, man. It was a big meal
for 2K.
Yeah. So I ate, and after eating, it was about midnight. We go and sleep. But I remember he took 4 buns with him. So we're sleeping, and then I hear fracas. Getting up, he was being beat by one of the bigger PRs,
For the buns.
telling him to give him the buns.
Wow.
And he was crying, saying, I can't. This is for me and my brothers. My first night on the street was a nightmare because I saw this guy stab this boy to death.
For 4 buns.
For 4 buns.
Wow. That was very traumatizing.
Yes. So when he was stabbed, the 5 of us just we wandered off. And I remember that morning we ended up at De Winton.
That's after the old park as you go up to Old Kampala.
No. De Winton is...
De Winton is Ginger Road.
No. Yes. De Winton is
Entebbe Road.
No.
Then you go up.
Parliament.
Oh, yeah.
Parliament.
National Theatre. And then all the way up.
Wansau.
Yes.
So there was a warehouse.
Okay.
In front there were restaurants, but during the night when they closed, boys would come from different areas. Street kids would come from different areas and jump and fall in the compound.
Into the compound to sleep in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Is this around the place that had a Kamba bus? You remember Kamba bus?
Yeah. Around that place.
Yes.
But this other side, kupanga ku parliament yao wenyini.
Yeah.
And the reason why they would jump and fall in the building, is because in there police would not find them.
Ah, okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it was like a safe hub. So that night we ran from Kisenyi and we slept at De Winton. So we were in De Winton for about 2-3 weeks until things got again worse that side.
And then you had to run from there.
We went to Katwe.
Aye.
So 1 month down the road, I realized I had to survive. I got in the system of, robbing, stealing from people so that I would survive. You would live, because the days we did not eat, we would look for food from dumpsters.
Yeah.
And that's how we would survive, So a month down the road, found myself in the business of stealing.
To survive. Okay, so you're on the streets, you see somebody murdered for 4 pieces of bread. Buns.
4 buns.
And you're moving from one place to another at night, and then your life gets crazy. You're stealing to survive. This is snatching people, pickpocketing, taking passes and all that. Then how do you end up in church?
Okay. Over the years, security operatives would raid the streets.
Yeah.
And just take all kids of us,
off. Because they were thieves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was not brutal. They would grab us, the young ones, they would take us and throw us in a place in
Kampiringisa.
No, not Kampiringisa. It was a place close. It was in Naguru here.
Naguru Remand Center?
I think. I don't remember the name of the place. They would throw us there.
Behind Legends as you go up.
Yes. They would throw us there. 2, 3, 4 days a week, they would release us. You understand?
So that was you and all.
That was the life, I remember one incident though. It was the first beating I ever got.
Thoroughly.
On the streets. It was about midday actually.
Yeah.
Old taxi park, nga ukumwala Channel Street.
Yeah.
Ngenda ndaba omukazi akutte akasawo, instinct zingamba akasawo kalimu sente. I go and grab the bag.
Yeah.
Immediately after grabbing the bag, I bumped into a very big man. And I fell. When I fell, they beat me. They beat me so bad. I passed out.
Wow.
They got me and threw me in that channel. Woke up like
the water channel.
Yes. Woke up like 20 minutes later. God, there was a crowd.
Oh, they thought you were dead.
And everybody is asking, hey, kana akana kalinganga akana kava maka amategeevu naye kakati nakuba kakubidde wano kabbi ekibuga nakyo kifuuse kira. Oh my God, that was crazy. Anyway, fast forward, the day I leave the streets for good, like it's too much, I'm done. We woke up at 5 to gunshots. And this time around, it was the time of Wembley. And a month before, they had beaten an army officer.
Yeah.
Took his car and took everything he had. They beat him and left him dead and took everything. So I think because of that,
there was special
security operatives decided to put together a special operations to get rid of the, of the dangerous elements that had, crept and grown over the years.
Yeah.
I remember my whole life on the streets, like we wouldn't spend 3 days without a murder somewhere, a killing somewhere. People we know, So this morning we woke up to gunshots, and unfortunately, I woke up in a pool of blood. All my friends shot dead.
Wow.
All of them shot dead. I don't know how I missed the bullets. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. So I get up. My mind is messed. I just run. Nenzirukira mu lujja munda. Side z'okudda nga mu Kisenyi. Eyo side ng'okudda ng'Emmengo. Bullets following, and that was my last day on the street. I went to a place, it was called Tigers. We used to go and eat from there. There was a German guy who used to cook food where street kids would just gather, the young ones, would just gather, eat, would go for breakfast and then lunch and then dinner. But it's served at very, very specific times. Breakfast was normally served at 9. If you're not there by 9,
you
miss. Gets closed. Lunch was always served by 1.
And it was free.
Yes. If you were not in the gate by that time, So when this very unfortunate incident happened, I ran to that place. But then later came back at about 5. And one of the bigger peers, there was twins actually. One of them was Katoana, the other was Waswa. They loved me so much. One of them told me, gwe Lubega, embeera y'ekibuga eyonoonekedde ddala. Ate kaakati bw'okyali mwana muto, bagenda kukuttira ku luguudo. Naye waliwo abasumba abayamba abaana. Mpulirako eyo Erubaga. Musumba Kayanja, at least bw'ogenda eyo osobola okufuna obuyambi. Naye oluguudo lufuuse luzibu. Walibadde todda wano. It was very bad that night. They killed over 12 of us, and others were taken. So I go to Miracle Center
Church.
Yes. Yeah. But then that evening, it was on a Tuesday, and there was nothing happening at church. So I didn't really get help. But then there's a few of the bigger boys that had left the streets and were living in Nakulabye in Chiyaye. So that day I walked and went to Nakulabye. And I lived in Nakulabye for about a month. The first time I went, I looked for these guys, I couldn't find them. So there was a stall, like a fish stall. This guy would fry fish in the evening, you know. But after like midnight, he would after his business, he would go back home, and that's where I would sleep in that thing. It's like echimeza, you know. and I would curl in there and sleep. So one morning, I think I overslept, and people were coming to the market and they found me, and they didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
I almost got burnt until one of the boys came out of the bed and said, oyo mumanyi mto wange twakula naye. So he picked me and took me to the place they stayed. They were in a mud house. It's very small, and they lived 15 boys
in a very
there.
small room.
Yes, a very small space. So I joined them there.
Oh, okay.
But now the danger is every night they would go to look for money.
So you found yourself
in
with
the,
the
same
criminals
cycle.
again.
In the same cycle.
Wow.
One unfaithful morning, one of them was brought back. They followed him because he had taken money from a woman that had a newborn. He smashed the newborn's head on the wall.
Wow.
Now, while she cried, people gathered outside. And when he was running, they said, no, let us follow him to where he's going. They followed the guy, and they almost killed all of us at the house. That was the last day I was in that house. I went back to Miracle Center.
Wow. So when you went to Miracle Center, who welcomed you?
You know how church is.
You just got into the service, hang around with everybody.
I left Nakurabye Sunday morning.
Yeah.
It was about 6:30. So I walked from Nakurabye to Rubaga. And then I met the first service was just starting. But I looked so bad, like so bad. I had a pair of trousers. It was torn.
Yeah.
In the back, I had slippers. One was green and the other was blue, with holes in the bottom.
Yeah.
I entered church. Even the usher that ushered me in looked at me and thought I was a mad boy, But I was tired of the life I'd lived. I
can imagine.
I wanted something. My soul yearned. I was empty. Imagine from about 6 years, I became a man at about 6 years.
Yeah.
I had to fend for my young brother and my mom, my sick mom. My brother was very little. He needed milk at that time. Yes, he needed milk at that time. Of course, you know him.
Yeah.
He needed milk. So at a very early age, I became a man. And I had seen too much from my mom's death, mistreatment from my father's house.
So you were really
bloodshed on the street.
Yeah.
I got to a place where my heart was really, really heavy and I was empty. I needed something.
Yeah.
I went to church, but then the beauty about church, they will welcome you.
Yeah.
I went in, she welcomed me, she took me and sat me, And then I remember that morning, Pastor Makoko was the one preaching, very vibrant, and after the service, the first service, they called out for people who wanted to get saved. And I was one of those people. I went to the front, but even as I went to the front, everybody was looking at me.
Of course, you were dirty. You looked
very, very dirty.
You looked terrible.
I looked really, really bad.
Yeah.
But I didn't care what everybody thought,
Yeah.
I went, they prayed for all of us. After praying for us, the thing that really, 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 really caught my heart was after praying for us, they gave each and every one of us a rose flower.
Wow, that's sweet.
And they told us, you have become family.
That's beautiful.
God is going to change your lives. God is going to do great things with you. In that moment, I felt a weight lift, even though nothing significant had happened.
Had happened to you, yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
Now, after salvation, iranga sina wakulaga.
So the service is done.
Service is done. But then there was this choir.
Yeah.
You know, while we were in the service, there was this choir. Oh my God.
Youth worship team.
No. Mass
Which one?
choir.
Mass choir.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You were first in mass choir,
Yes.
then went to
Then
youth worship
joined
team.
the youth worship team later.
Yes.
Mass choir, man, they were so smart. There were
very
so
energetic.
many on the pulpit. They were so energetic, and they sang like angels, man. And my heart just went straight and said,
I want to be part of that.
I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
And then when the service ended, after being prayed for, I asked the very usher that brought me in service. She didn't even want to talk to me. I'm like, the choir that sang last.
Yeah.
Said, ugamba abamasi choir. Bali mu meeting eri waggulu. Obadde obaagala. Yeah. So she took me.
Yeah.
She took me, introduced me. Everybody looked at me like, no mulalu wano, yechi wano. You know? So I went, talked to the choir leader, Mami Alice, and I talked to her. I had to lie to her that I'd been singing for a while. But during the conversation, I realized they had a home. A church, church rented for them a home.
For the ministers.
For the ministers, you know. People, and those that didn't have nowhere to go. So I told her I used to sing in bands and all that. You know, but I was
Very
looking
welcome.
for shelter.
Yeah.
I was looking for shelter. Talked to them. Fortunate enough, she welcomed me in, you know, and she asked me where I'd come from and all that. I told her, no, but don't, you know, I've grown up on the streets. I don't have a particular place where I stay. Just roam there and there and then. She's like, oh, okay, no, we have a home. We have a home. You can come and stay with us, you know. So she took me in, Bambi. 2 weeks down the road, though, she realized I could not sing. Embeera nekyuka. But I was smart. The very first Sunday, I joined Mass Choir. When they were singing, me, I came to the front and started somersaulting.
Hey!
Yes. I got to the front and started flipping.
Yeah.
And the church went crazy, you know? So even though I could not sing, they left me in to entertain, you know? I served with Mass Choir for a very long time. And with them, you know, we had devotions every evening. My heart was drawn to ministry. And I felt God calling me to really, really dedicate myself to worship, you know. And one fateful evening, they took us for baptism in Gaba. Immersed us in water. And that day significantly, I think, was the first day I heard the voice of God speak to me clearly. As I was being immersed in the water, I heard a voice clearly say, it is over. I don't know what that meant. I didn't know what that meant at the moment. But I knew something had flipped in my life. So we left Gaba, came back, and I started yearning to sing like badly. But most times we're in rehearsals and I open my mouth to sing and they tell me, gutewajja wano kuyimba. You know, that is not your thing.
Yeah.
But I'm such a competitive spirit. If you tell me I can't,
You'll do your best to do it.
I will push to show you there is nothing I cannot achieve in this in this world.
Yeah.
So they told me I could not sing and all that. I stayed in. I did my thing. But then it got to a time where I was like a black sheep in the choir, you know, my background and all that. But I thank Mami Alice for one thing. She gave me a great foundation in music. She did. She held us with an iron hand, but she taught us so much, so much. And I really appreciate her for that. I was with Mass Choir for about 2 years. And then I felt my time with them had elapsed.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I started looking at the youth worship team. But then when I just joined the youth worship team, there was nothing exciting about them, really.
Yeah.
There was nothing. You know, like you would leave Kirk Franklin to go and join maybe Dietrich Haddon. I'm not saying Dietrich Haddon is not as good, but you understand the ranks.
Performance aspect to just worship and also laid back.
You know, they were the youth worship team, but there was nothing youth about them at all.
There was no energy. They were just worshiping.
So I left Mass Choir and joined the youth worship team. But now leaving Mass Choir, joining the youth worship team was a big fracas.
I know.
And I don't know why these people that looked at me as a black sheep didn't want me to cross over. Probably.
You were their black sheep. You belong to them.
You're
exactly. Black sheep. It's okay, but be here.
Yeah. I think probably it was because even through hardship, they had taught me so much that they didn't want to be transferred to the other side.
And you are the boy who does flips. No one was doing flips. So you are the good black sheep. They didn't want to lose you.
So, my very last day with Mass Choir, in the morning, we were praying. After praying and all that, I said, Mami Alice, I really, really want to appreciate you so much for everything you've done for me for the past 2 years. I've learned so much, but I think my time here is up. And I talked to the youth worship team leadership and they welcomed me. So I'm going to go and start serving with the youth worship team.
Yes.
And they seemed okay with it. But then when I joined the other side, war erupted.
I know.
And I'm not any good. Like, I'm not even talented. There was nothing to be admired about me.
They saw something.
You understand?
In you. They saw something.
So in my head, I'm like, why are they even fighting? They didn't need me the other side. And these people welcomed me. And why are they even fighting? It was so bad. One time we fought on a Sunday. Main service.
I knew about it.
On the stage.
I knew about it. And some people are suspended, right?
Not some people. Both choirs.
I know.
Both choirs were suspended.
I know. That's why I said, because there was a fracas in the whole church.
But God is amazing how he works. I think for him, he had started a journey with me that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Cooper would say, ono George mwana omu yekka tagenda kutulwanya na kwaya namba. George omanyi tambula okole ki tambula ogende. But he said
he also wasn't willing to
he
give
was
you up.
not willing to let go. He said if we have to sit, we will all sit.
Yeah, but George
you're
is
not leaving.
The youth worship team.
You're not leaving.
Yeah.
Did you fight with them when you're like, I mean, how would I and why would I? Hey.
So now you have all this. You go to a youth worship team, and where do you get to the place where you become Exodus?
So we're in the worship. I'm in the youth worship team. Youth worship team. They put me at the forefront.
Yeah.
And gave me challenges that actually shaped me.
Yeah.
In the Mass Choir, I learned in the background.
Oh, okay.
But now this side, they put me on the forefront. They gave me the mic.
Yeah. Oh, so you were forced to step up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a big challenge. A big challenge. And I want to appreciate Cooper so much for believing in me, for whatever he saw in me.
Cooper Salijiwe.
Cooper Salijiwe.
Yeah.
You know, for believing in me so much. I don't know what that man of God saw in me. But later, I saw it. Later in life, I saw it. So I served with the youth worship team. I was sharpened. I became one of the greatest, in the ministry.
Yeah.
In the youth worship team is where I was introduced to Papa San's music.
Yeah. And you became the Papa
I
Son.
became the Papa Son of churches.
I remember.
Of churches in Uganda. Yeah. So we're in youth worship team, and then as we did ministry, God started moving me to a totally different thing. That is when I saw Butter. I met with Butter and Ken.
Yeah.
You understand? In the same church. And we started no. Actually before that, because we became Sauti after Isaac Ruchi came back, after the 47 Anointed Voices concert, which you were part of, I believe. I remember. Yeah.
No. I wasn't. That's a whole nother story. I wasn't part of that. Now, I was in the US.
Yes.
I had just come back.
Yes.
And Isaac comes back, and he was trying to... He had just left Limitex. He wanted to move back home. But he wanted to do something like Limitex, because now Limitex had stopped singing.
He wanted to keep the legacy, actually.
Yeah, he calls me and says, I'm trying to put together a group of young men. But there's this young guy who looks like you. I think the three of you would fit. And that's when he called and he said, I want you to meet these guys. And we met at Nando's. You remember Nando's?
Yeah. So, in the choir, I'd been with the youth worship team for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then in my spirit, I felt I needed something more. You understand? So that was 2007 when they did the Chogam thing.
Yeah.
And they did auditions.
Heads of
exactly, yes.
Conference,
They did auditions and they wanted performers, singers, dancers, and all that. I remember one of the judges was Alex Mukulu.
Yeah.
Very, very, very tough. Tough, great man in the industry.
Yeah.
I love that man so much. He opened my eyes to music that is more than just, oh, Jesus gave me food.
Yeah.
I had no clothes and God put clothes on my back. Anyway, long story short, when I heard about the auditions, 2007, I went for the auditions. There was Maurice Kiria. There was
Matthew
Nabuiso.
Yeah.
There was who is this guy? About they had a group. They were a group of dancers, great dancers by then. Natasha Sinabio.
Michael Kasaija.
Michael Kasaija
from Obsessions.
Obsessions. Thank you so much, Michael and Natasha. Who were part of the team. There was cream of
big
the
production
cream
of the best in the country. Yeah.
We went for auditions, and then when we went for auditions, funny enough, it was me, Butter, and Ken from Miracle Center. Yes, we all went.
Yeah.
And Butter tried to sing, and they told him, gwe tojjasobola byakuimba naye tukulaba oli muzinyi mulungi.
So you go and dance.
Yes, so they kept him for that.
Yeah.
Chicken ne chiyimba, you know, Ken has a deep, amazing voice, you know.
Yeah.
So straight up, yena itao. Then me, I came and sang. And when I sang, Alex Mkulu looked at me and was like, nego na sobola gwe. That very first day, I didn't go through. But I decided I'm not giving up because there was a money.
Yeah, they were paying.
There was a money that we didn't get in church.
Yeah.
You know, so I was motivated by that. I went the following day. When I went, he looked at me and said, na yegwe. Anyway, chichi chokole chiralo okujjako okuyimba. You know, before I went on the streets, I used to help a lady in Banda. She used to do decoration.
Yes.
You know, so I told Alex Mukulu, I can do decoration as well, and blah, blah, blah. He looked at me and said, na ya, kale, mumuleke abeeremu naye hano sikiwanti ajja sobola ono. Later on, I became one of his best artists.
Yes, because you are an amazing performer.
Life is like, I mean, God is just
and you
God
can
is
see
just
that
amazing
God
how he
always put you in spaces that you quote unquote didn't deserve to be.
Exactly.
That you were not good enough for.
Exactly.
And you ended up excelling through them to the top. That's amazing.
Man.
So now you become Exodus. How many awards do you have?
I hadn't. Remember, we became Sauti before Exodus.
Yes.
Hopefully you don't even remember that.
I remember.
Yeah.
We recorded a whole album.
But then even with you, life is so funny.
Yeah.
I never had the slightest idea that we would even work together because I remember I was at a wedding we had decorated. It was a kwanjula, not even a wedding. I think it was that side of Chinawataka, some posh, beautiful home, and you guys came. First Love.
Yeah.
You guys came to sing. But you stood out. I looked at you and I was like, oh man, this guy looks like me. And you guys looked so great. You guys looked amazing, man. It's like, God, one day can I also be like these people? At least, I never had the slightest idea we would even meet later and even work together. So we went for the 47 Anointed Voices. We did that. After that performance,
when you
came back to church, when we came back to church is when we teamed
to do Sauti.
Me, Ken, and Butter.
Yeah.
So after the 47 Anointed Voice concert, Isaac Ruchi decided to retain the three of us.
Yeah.
And he told us, we have traveled the world. We have done ministry, Japan, USA, you name it. We've been everywhere. And I just want to shift the mantle, to a young, vibrant group and carry on with the ministry. And I believe I've already seen what you guys can do. And I believe you guys can take this on. And he was with us 100%. 100%. Isaac Ruchi, man, may God just bless that man with wherever he desires.
He's supported many people.
So
Sauti then becomes the biggest group in East Africa.
We start.
Yeah.
When we started, he took us to studio with Joab, We did a few records. That was before you came in. Before we knew it, we had an open window to go to minister in Kenya. When we went to minister in Kenya, the first ministry actually we did, it was an overnight.
Yeah.
Pastor Martin Suna, Apostle Martin Suna, Suna's church. We went and we brought the house down. We brought the house down. That day, did we come back to Uganda? We stayed in Kenya. So
you're in Kenya for about 2 years?
We were there for about a year. 2007, because I came back 2008. So we did ministry, and then at our biggest break, we had a very big misunderstanding. Very big misunderstanding. We had a fight. And then these guys, most especially my big brother Bahata, yaina chibuli. Nangamba gwe George ne mu group eno tokimanyi nti ffe tukuyamba buyambi. Nenga kati ate dansa yakabaza omuyimbi nti anyamba buyambi. I got to a place where I felt I'd exhausted that as well.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of conflict within us and all that. So my spirit just told me, pack your bags and go back home. So I left them in Kenya, Nairobi, and I didn't even have fare to bring me back.
Hey.
Another brother of mine who actually became like a father of mine, may God rest his soul in peace, he passed away 2 years ago, Shadrach Macau. They used to perform with a band called the Heart and Soul Band.
Yes, I know.
Oh my God, those guys were amazing. Those guys were amazing. He's the one who gave me fare to come back to Uganda.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I come back. I don't even have a place to stay. Nothing completely. In my spirit, I'm like, what next? So there was a place in Rubaga called Dynamic. It was a house that had caught fire and the owner just abandoned it. So there were boys who used to gather there and sleep, and I joined them. So while I'm there doing ministry in church, I felt the Spirit of God tell me, it is time for you to step out and tell your own story as a solo artist. Oh, no, wait a minute. Before that, after the fight, I think is when we met. Wait a minute. How did we? Because,
met before.
Because Sauti,
We recorded a whole album.
first wait. Sauti was first, the three of us.
No.
Then you joined us later.
Sauti was you, me, Butter. Then we recorded an album. Then we separate, and you brought Ken.
Oh,
because you had been with Ken in the 47 Mass Choir. So then you do that album.
Yes.
And I had just recorded. I was just starting on a solo album by then.
Yeah.
Then you went to Nairobi.
Yes, I remember.
So then, after about a year, you left everybody else in Nairobi and came back.
And then came back.
Because now we were still brothers, and every time you guys had a fight, you'd end up at my house.
Exactly. Oh, yes.
Now
I
you
remember now. Very, very well. Here in Tinder.
Yes.
I remember pretty well. One time we were even raided by thieves at night.
And they took your brand new phone.
Oh my God.
A beautiful.
It was a great small phone.
I'd done a decoration job and bought a very expensive tiny red phone.
Yeah.
That was on the table when the thieves came in and stole it.
They hit you with a big stone, I remember.
Man, those thieves, God bless them.
Man.
So at that time, then you go into fasting and you record this amazing song.
No. After we separated, when we went to Kenya, I came back.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I narrated the whole story to Isaac.
Yeah.
And I thought he would actually tell me, you know what, George?
Go back.
I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah.
Because I'd put you together as a group, and but he told me, you know what? It is okay. You just let them do their thing. You do your thing. I'm gonna support you as man. I just sometimes don't know how God just works out his ways for me. Like here I'm talking to him, and in my mind I'm like, his idea was a group. And we've had conflict, and the other so there's nothing he's going to do for me. But as a father, a man who started us had to, take the responsibility and tell him everything. But when I spoke with him, actually, he told me, you know what, George? He used to call me Timo. Omanyi, Timo, chiri oke bali baleke, bakole ki, bo beyongereyo n'ekyabwe. You start your own thing, and I will support you fully. I'll support you. Because, you're talented. You're very talented. Everybody sees, even in the group, you're the strongest. So you continue, do your thing, After that, I think it was about 2 weeks, sleeping at Dynamic, then coming, doing ministry with church, because I went back to, the youth worship team and was still serving in church. But then I got to a place, the pressure of not growing, became too much.
You were unsettled.
Exactly. There was something. God was pushing me to a certain direction that I just did not know how to, venture into.
Yeah.
One morning, I got to a place where I started questioning myself about all these things. God, I have served you for years, and life is not shifting. What is the problem? I was on the streets, I used to steal, and I was okay. I'm in church, I can't even buy myself underwear.
I know.
I'm wearing a shoe, I've worn it for 7 years. It was given me by a youth pastor. It even has holes under, and They say when we come to you, life changes, everything changes, and nothing is changing. I'd actually decided to, just forget about church, this salvation thing, and go back and do my own thing, But then this evening, there was a visiting pastor from Nigeria. It was a Wednesday. I left Dynamic and I came for service. And when this man of God started preaching, the first word that came out of his mouth was, there's a young man in this congregation. You feel like you are tired of the things of God. But tonight, God is going to speak to you. You have such an anointing on your life, but it comes with turmoil. But that is what is going to push you forward. God has a strong hand on your life. And you will see him at work. Left it at that. Continued with his message. After the service, as I was heading back to Dynamic, I felt the Spirit of God. The second time I had God speak to me clearly. Said, son, you cannot build an empire on another man's empire. If you desire for me to use you mightily, you're going to have to seek me differently. And I heard a voice say, 40 days on water. I had a friend, he was called Timo. Till today he's there. Says, negwe guy, nkujjukira nga bwe wajja ku chaachi. Nikatira bakatonda byakukozeseza. So I speak to him and tell him, Timo, God is telling me to fast 40 days on water. He laughed. He laughed at me and said, George nawe wabachebe bintu byabali abasumba abanene kati gwo. He just laughed. So I walked and went back to where we stayed. But the Spirit of God was so strong. The voice was so strong you could not ignore. I kicked off. 20 days into the fasting, even my trousers couldn't fit. Now at church, they know my story, how I came to church. My mom died of HIV and blah, blah, blah. And most people thought actually the disease that had taken my mom
is the one that was catching up with you. Yeah.
Long story short, I did the 40 days on water. While fasting, I used to go to Redeemed Church. And the reason I would go there, every Wednesday and Friday, they had overnights. But after praying, they would serve tea and mandazis.
Oh, so you would go to break your fast.
Thank you so much. Because I had nowhere to get food.
That's
And the last day, I was walking back to Rubaga. And I had words. I once was a Ganja Man, a liquor man, and a bitter man. Changed them, no more Ganja Man, not bitter, but a preacher man. And those words stuck in my head for like 2 weeks. But as I walked, God led me to open the Bible. When I got back to my place, I opened the Bible, and the first book I landed on was Exodus chapter 3, verses 8.
Verse 8.
This day I take you out of the land of the Egyptian, take you out of the land of your oppressors, and I take you to the land that flows with milk and honey. And in this land you shall suffer no more. And that Bible verse just spoke. It spoke my whole life. You understand? And in that moment I was like, I think God is telling me, you are a journey. Exodus is your name. That's how I came up with the name. Yes.
Because I remember you even used to put it 3 verse
V8.
8.
Yes. Yeah. That's how the name came after my 40 days. And then these words just kept on ringing in my head. Now, I had friends. We used to have a service at Miracle Center. The service was called Sat Serve. Saturday service, a youth service, basically.
Yeah.
So all the young people around would come and showcase and all that. There was this guy. He's now in Hungary. He had a studio above.
Oh, it's Drew?
Drew.
Yes.
He had a studio.
Hungary, South Africa.
No, he's in Hungary.
Hungary, okay.
Now,
yeah.
He was joined with another guy that became a producer because for him he had ventured into other things.
Yeah.
He brought in Danro. Danro is the one who is in South Africa.
Yeah, I remember
Yes,
Danro. Danro has actually done a song for Kenzo.
Exactly.
Yes.
He's the one that did Ganja Man.
Yes.
So I go to the studio and I tell them, hey man, I have this vibe. I have this vibe. I just want to do a song. I just want to, do something and put it out there. I narrated. I just spelled out the words for them. They didn't catch the fire. So I go back. I had a small phone that had earphones. You would plug. It had a SIM. You would go and they ban for you
memory
music.
card.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they ban for you music. Yeah. So one time I'm listening and I listen to this track that just captivates my mind. Exactly. I listen and then I just put the words on top of the track and it just fits.
Yeah.
Immediately I ran to the studio. He was actually recording another guy. And he told me, George, can't you see I am busy? And I told him, I am also busy. I feel something. Yeah, it is. He was captivated by the track.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay. Give me 4 days. Let me create something. And when I'm done, we see what we can do. 4 days became 2 months.
Wow.
Robert, andeka naawe ndi busy. Nja kukubira nga ndi ready. But I didn't give up. I kept on pestering him until one time he said, George, come to studio. Come, let's see what we can do. And in like 30 minutes, we had recorded Ganja Man. The whole song. Words just kept flowing. I don't even know how that song got out of studio because Bizzo had gone to do
a radio commercial.
An advert.
Yeah.
Over for what? And then Danro played the song. Actually, when she came in, he was mixing.
So she had it.
She had and she's like, hey, who is that? It's like, oh no, Timo. Becky's like, what? No, it can't be. Why? She picked the song from Dan Rose's studio.
Straight to
radio. And she promoted. Until Rabs, the machine man, one time called me and said, George, journeyâ tabu. But he's saying that even church where I come from,
they didn't care.
No man, you know. So Rabs tells me, I want you to meet Momo. I want you to meet DJ Momo. I didn't even know him. Now,
can I shock you?
For us, we are in church.
No,
song has...
Before you go to that, let me remind you something.
Yeah.
Do you know who Momo is a brother to? Or you never found out?
Bahata.
Exactly.
Yes.
That
actually, I got to know after meeting. No, when I met him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because he told me, hey, ofanana muganda wange. Muganda wange aliye okumirako sente ye wamweyo. Nsereko. Bahata. Hey, Bahata. Hey, he's your brother. So we really, you know.
Yeah.
So Rabs introduces me to Momo and says, Kalya kayimba ko kube nnyo. Uno nanyiniko. It's like, tekasobola kubaka ke. It's like, it's the one who sang it. And Momo was like, are you sure? Ganja Man is your song? I'm like, yeah. So, Nyimbiram. We were at Nando.
Yeah.
He said, Nyimbiram. So I sang the chorus. Now the singing like, you sure this is your song? I'm like, yeah, it's mine. Now, I've not told you this. My very last day of fasting, as I walked from Redeemed, going back to Rubaga, God told me, I want you I want you to go back to the world, but as a different person. I don't know what that meant, but then deep down in my heart, I had this desire to do gospel different from what the gospel artists were doing in the time.
In the church.
You know?
Yeah.
So my spirit pushed me so much mainstream, like to follow what they're doing, listen, watch, and, you know, just understand, you know? So I desired so much to be like them, but put the word of God onto their own beats.
Yeah.
And that is how I came out with Ganja Man and all that. So Momo tells me, if this is your song, you're going to come with me everywhere I go. Every night I perform. I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity, man. I got so excited. So I go back to Rubaga, you know, I tell Cooper, tell him, man, you know, last night, DJ Rubs took me to this guy, and man, I'm going to start performing in clubs, singing gospel music. But his reaction was not.
By then that was a taboo. You don't step on the pulpit, you know, and perform
exactly.
in club.
His reaction was not, you know, welcoming. And it didn't take so much time. Cooper told me, George, God is really blessing you, but you are going to water it down yourself because you've now left the work of God and now you want to go start singing in the world. There's no blessing in that. I respect him. He's been my man of God for a very long time. He spoke some things in my life that I've seen come to pass. You know? That became a trying moment. Now, I am conflicting with
now your
my
break
leader.
has come.
Yes.
You're seeing what God has told you.
First, forget about even the break alone. I'm conflicting with my leader and my spirit. Because in my spirit, there's this joy and fervency. I must, you know. But then, my leader is telling me, you can't. There's no blessing in that. I was supposed to perform that very night in Rouge with Momo. But I was conflicting with my spirit. I didn't go. After like 3 days, Rabs calls me. He tells me, George, Ochimainti, you missed a great opportunity. Guy Yakubi Damasimo Toga Kwata. What is the problem? Did I introduce you in vain? And then I told Rabs what happened. When I told Rabs told me, you know what, bro? Listen to your leader. That's your leader. It's very important. But then something in my spirit could not just settle.
Yeah.
You know? I walked from Rubaga to Momo's music store. And I went and apologized and he told me, you're not serious. I told him what I'd experienced and what my leader told me. He told me one thing and said, George, I am not trying to make you a rebel, but I think you have something that the world is going to appreciate and it is going to change the face of gospel music. So it is up to you. You go think about it. If you're ready, you let me know. I went back, prayed, stayed, but there was an unrest inside. So they always had a campus night every Tuesday at Rouge and at Club Silk. In my head, I was like, come what may, I'm going. We go. And I perform in Rouge. And men, they pelted me with bottles. And they were telling me, sing your songs. That is not your song. That's a Jamaican song.
Yet you're singing your own song.
I'm singing my song, you know. But Mom encouraged me and he told me, Olabai, ekyo kikulage nti oli wakabi ola ne music wo tebakkiriza nti wuwo ekyo kikulage nti oli wakabi togwamu maanyi. We left Rouge, we went to Club Silk. DJ Shiro was playing, and after DJ Shiro, Momo was coming on. So after DJ Shiro performed, Momo got in the booth and he started playing with Ganja Man. And man, the crowd just went crazy. He played like half of the song, pulled it up, and announced me. Said, this is a gospel song, if all of you didn't know, and we have the artist in the house tonight. So they call me. I go on stage. And Momo tells me, Soko ba wemu na kapera, soko ba wemu na kapera. And I sing, bro. He plays the song and I perform the song. And that night, I remember, I left the club with 200,000 shillings.
Wow. So our time is fast spent.
I know.
I want to ask a final question. What has been the biggest thing you've learned through all this?
Listen to the voice deep inside.
Wow.
Always listen to the voice deep inside. You know, we get caught up. I've learned, like, even with church and Christianity, even as we push for the work of God, we are all men. If you do not break your own boundaries, it's very easy to stay in a box because that's the culture, that's the norm, that's the gospel. You understand?
Yeah.
And even as we push the gospel, it's very easy to be pushing a man's agenda. So it is very important that you listen to the voice inside. Most especially if you've got to a place where you know God speaks and how he speaks.
Beautiful.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because when you listen to that voice, you will go places where you wouldn't if you stayed in a box where they tell you this is how we do things. This is how you should do things. You understand?
Yes.
Because my biggest challenge became my biggest blessing and breakthrough. Through performing in clubs, I landed on an opportunity that put me at the forefront in the industry. I was spotted in Club Silk by a gentleman called Charlie. By then, he ran the club for the owner. You understand? And he ran campus nights. He's the one who got me and put me on the street jam.
Oh, wow.
2010. And with him, I got my first biggest paycheck. Even when we talked, he said, gwe guy, oyimba bulungi nnyo oli wakabi. Naye tetulina ssente, naye njagala ojje okube ku street jam. I was about, he asked me, nkuwe sente mmeka? I was about to answer because my answer would be 150,000. Because in church or when we are called to perform, you know, for ministry, within the box, like I've told you, they give you what they want to give you. And you know it's very little. Doesn't change anything. So he asked me a question. He says, tukwe sente mmeka? I was silent because I didn't know what I was figuring out an amount in my head, and he said, Akari, it's okay. We will give you 1.5. Bro. I was sweating. Immediately I was sweating. I'd spent my whole ministry ngasirabanga ku 1.5 million shillings.
I know.
You
and
know?
At that time it was so much
It
money.
was big money. It was big money. So he told me, you have to be here by midnight. After fireworks, they will put you on stage next. Now we have church ministry, 31st. It was the 31st of December 2010. You know what time we sang in church? We sang at about 3 a.m. But after ministry, I hopped on a border and rushed to industrial area. I got there. Charles was so pissed. So pissed. And he told me, "You slot. Your time is gone. I told you to be here by midnight. What are you going to do?" I was so frustrated, but I stayed because I wanted to watch and see how the other guys do their thing.
Yeah.
So at about 5 a.m. in the morning, Firebase crew got on stage. And after they performed, you know what Charles told me? "Nkuwe stage ono gisobola." At 5 a.m., after Bobby Wine had sung, I got on stage and they played the song. Bro, the following morning, front page, the biggest artist of the night was a gospel act, Ganja Man. And since then, the rest is history.
Amen. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful time with Exodus. Thank you for coming through.
Glory to
you
God.
can find Exodus on all social media.
That's Exodus UG.
Exodus UG, YouTube, iTunes, everywhere. There's a lot of music he's put out, some that you probably won't believe is his music, but he has amazing music. He has an amazing story. He has great videos. One of the best videos done by a gospel artist ever is one of his. So
Glory to God.
Look out for him. And you can find us on Apple Music, Apple Pods. You can find us on Spotify Pods. You can find us on Google Pods, which moved to, I believe it's YouTube Music now. And you can find us also on Amazon Music on their podcast. Wherever you get your podcast will be there. You can support us on Cash App, by mobile money. Support us so we can keep bringing you these wonderful stories. Share, like, and always tune in. We love you. God bless you. Thank you. Life Be.
Thank you for tuning in to the Life Be podcast with Sami-K. Your support means the world to us. Please leave a comment, subscribe, and share to help us grow and continue bringing you valuable content. We appreciate you.